Good Sunday morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Steel City Renegades right here on the Hanging with Deez channel because the Steel City Renegades are either on the road or maybe tailgating right now. So, joining me today to talk Steelers football and the rest of the NFL uh, playoff scenarios, we have our good buddy Ryan Neff. Ryan, welcome.
What's going on, my man? Final 2 weeks.
Yep, we're down to the nitty gritty and looking at the playoff standings. We're basically the playoff fields are almost set. We have two division races left. That, of course, being the Steelers and the Ravens, and then over in the NFC we have the Panthers, which is probably a shock to everybody, fighting for their lives with the Tampa Bay Bucks, who are kind of in a big slump right now. So
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be an interesting couple weeks. More interesting than that, like Ryan and I were just talking off air, is it's pretty odd that of these two division races that are still going on, they play each other in the final week of the season. Like anybody, and when you looked at the schedule in the preseason, you could look at the Pittsburgh and Baltimore game and think that's probably going to decide the division. But there isn't a soul on the planet that would have looked at that Tampa Bay Carolina game and thought that that was going to decide their division between those two teams anyway. You'll never convince me that somebody actually thought that.
Yeah, and the thing about Tampa is everybody had them pegged winning the division after they started off 5-1, and here they are. I think what are they 2-6? Their last 8 games. So it's
Yeah,
gonna be interesting to see what happens these last couple of weeks here.
for sure. And speaking of collapses, the Indianapolis Colts started, what weren't they, 7-1 or 7-2, something along those lines, and have just absolutely tanked.
Yeah.
Granted, had some serious injuries, losing Danny Dimes. Philip Rivers hasn't looked bad, but yeah, they just haven't been able to keep it going, and they have been mathematically eliminated now. The only thing really up for grabs, other than those division races, is there are some seeding things that still need to be figured out. I believe the one seed is still up for grabs. In fact, yes, the one seed is still up for grabs in both conferences. Uh, Here, living in Illinois, not even Bears fans thought that they'd be where they're at. Some of the ones that we would have called delusional in the preseason might have picked them, to make the playoffs, but not to be division champs with basically 2 weeks left to go. Like it's kind of unreal when you consider you had the Lions and Green Bay in there. But speaking of the Lions, let's go back, talk about the game last week. The Steelers go into Detroit and not just win, but in the manner that they won. I mean, if you take away that fourth quarter, the
Mm-hmm.
Steelers absolutely dominated. Jared Goff finished with a lot of passing yards, but I looked it up as I was watching the game, and I want to say that going into the fourth quarter, Goff was sitting around 120, 130 yards. And then for whatever reason, well, I know what the reason is. Tomlin plays to not lose, or coaches to not lose. They go into that soft zone, and Goff starts picking them apart. Boom, boom, boom. And ipso facto, now we're in a fucking dogfight. But to shut down that running game, not just contain it, but decimate it. And the way that they did that was big early tackles for losses, stopping them at the line of scrimmage, putting them in second and long, third and long, and then letting the defense do what they do. And I mean, they only had 12 carries all game. And a lot of people say, well, they kind of abandoned the run. Well, they kind of had to a certain extent. I think they probably could have taken a few more shots early on, but going into that fourth quarter, it just kind of felt like that's what they needed to do. But that's a huge accomplishment. And when you look back at the Steelers over this course of the season, we've had a couple of letdowns in the run game. But by and large, if you look at the guys that we have faced, when Derek Harmon is on the field, teams aren't able to run the ball very, very well against us. We contained Derrick Henry the first time. Um, we shut down the Lions, obviously. We shut down Jonathan Taylor. It seems like the guys that shouldn't have done anything against us, i.e., Brown in Cincinnati, are the ones that hurt us. But that was also without Derek Harmon. So going into this game, well, we'll get to that in a minute. Let's go back to this Detroit thing. Have you ever seen an NFL game that you can remember anyway where you saw 4 offensive pass interference penalties?
No, and it's funny because I was watching the Houston LA game yesterday with the Chargers and the Texans, and one of the post game guys, I can't remember who it was, said, "Would you just let the fucking players decide the game?" There was a pass interference call late in that game, and it was on the Chargers, where it looked like they were going to stop the Texans and have a chance to possibly win the game. And it was just 2 guys running into one another. So, no, I've never seen anything like that. But look, the NFL has to do something about the refereeing because it's getting out of control. I've said this before, Deez. If I was an official, it would have to be something egregious. It would have to be something so blatant that you have to call it. You can't let it happen anymore because it's bullshit. Let the players on the field decide the game, especially late in the game like that. So no, I've never seen that before.
Yeah, and the one thing I will say about the 4 calls in that Lions Steelers game is the last one, the one that really mattered the most, which was the Amon-Ra. That was textbook pass interference. Like, I mean, he 2-hand shoved. You cannot argue that. You can, however, argue the one against DK was basically just, hand fighting. There was no extension. There was no physical shove. And then the other 2, which one was against Darnell Washington on a crossing route, which negated a DK touchdown. And then the other one was on Detroit, where it was a designed pick play, but still it was just kind of running into each other. Those, you can make an argument against that. But as far as the play that ended the game, that was a legit call, period, point blank, doesn't matter. Game's over. But yeah, they need to, they need to do the full-time officials thing. I don't know how many times we have to have this discussion. It's going to be interesting because I believe that they are up for their contract renegotiation is coming up this year. So things could get interesting. And I really don't want to go into next season looking at replacement refs because we saw how bad that was the last time. And your normal refs right now can't seem to call a fucking game. And you're going to throw replacement refs in if they can't come to an agreement. It's going to be bad. Just like some of the roughing the passer calls this year. Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, if the quarterback's getting tackled, now some of those calls that I've seen roughing the passer have been legit. I mean, if you grab onto a guy and you're, driving him down into the ground, that's one thing. But if they're tackling them, and they start to go down, and you can tell the guy's trying to turn, and replay should be able to do something about that. If it's called on the field, they should go back and take a look at it and say, okay, no, it's not roughing the passer. Look, I think what they should do, the fucking referee should have 2010 vision, like fighter pilots. That's just my own personal opinion. But again, Deez, it's the refereeing it's been bad this year. The NFL collectively, from the refs to the play to the fundamentals, it's been really, really bad this year.
Yeah, it really has. And the injuries that we're seeing, it's almost like these guys are in too good of shape. You know what I mean? Like you're an older guy like me. Think back to the 70s and 80s and shit. You had guys that were, smoking cigarettes in the locker room at halftime and they're playing 16 games. and these guys, will just come out here absolutely shredded, and they pull a hamstring running a hook route. Like
Yeah.
it's almost like they are conditioning their bodies too good, that they push them to the absolute limits to where any little thing can affect that. And it's crazy how the better the shape that they're in, the more prone to injury that they seem to be. But
And,
anyway,
I'll also say, I know it's cost effective to have the artificial, whatever the hell they have, the artificial grass with the pellets underneath. Every outdoor stadium should be grass. I don't care what it
yeah.
costs the owners. Just go back to the old. Just every outdoor stadium should have grass. It gives more. It's a better surface to play on. And it's a safety issue at this point.
I'll go one step further than that. I'll say that every stadium should have grass, and that granted there are stadiums that are pre-existing right now that they would be grandfathered in, but I would make a new mandate going forward that any stadium built has to be either a retractable roof or a
Mm-hmm.
retractable field like they have in Arizona, where they can roll it outside, let it get its sun and water or whatever, and roll it in for the game. um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I agree. This turf, now it's better than it was, you know, where it was just basically carpet rolled over concrete. I've played on that. That's not fun. But yeah, this turf shit's got to go. There's just it's almost too sticky, and we're seeing ligaments and muscles and everything just pop because you don't have the give.
Yeah.
I would much rather watch players slip and fall because the dirt gave way than to have somebody's ACL tear because it didn't.
Yeah. I agree.
Probably not something we'll see in our lifetimes, but we can hope. But yeah, going back to that game against Detroit again, absolutely shut down the run. Aaron Rodgers is on a heater. He's looked better and better every week. I believe he said in his media availability the other day that this is the best he's felt all year, which is good news. As we go into this final stretch, it's what you want to hear. The not good news: DK Metcalf.
Mm-hmm.
If the guy look, all right, first off, you don't just walk away, DK. Just walk the fuck away. But if the guy said what he says he said, I kind of get it. Like Debo said on his podcast, he would have jerked him out of the stands and beat the dog shit out of him, which I entirely believe that Debo would have done that. But yeah, you just got to use your head. That the NFL should ban that guy. What for one? He's already got a history with DK Metcalf. The fact that he's still allowed in the stadium is insane. But that's going to cost us these last two games, which all the more reason that the Steelers are going to have to do everything in their power to take care of Cleveland today. Because if you go into that game with Baltimore without DK Metcalf, it's not going to prove to be a good time.
I just have
though. Oh, go ahead.
I have circled here. Pittsburgh 230 rush yards, Detroit 15. So
yeah,
with DK not being there the last couple of weeks, look, it ain't rocket science. I'll say this till the day they put me in the grave. I've said it 100 times. When you get to December and January, if you can win the running battle and you can stop the run, you're gonna make the playoffs.
And they're going to have to lean on that heavily. And I think the other thing that they're going to lean on is Kenny Gainwell in the passing game a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
He was fantastic. He rushed for 50 yards, but what he did in the passing game, 5 catches, 78 yards, and that amazing laying on the ground catch, which I still can't believe he made that catch. But yeah, we carried the ball 27 times, 230 yards. Jaylen Warren had 2 45-yard touchdown runs. So you don't expect that kind of production, but if you can consistently, keep it at 4 or 5 yards a carry and still put, 25 to 30 carries between the two of them, if not more. That's ideal for winter January football that we're going into
Yep.
right now. And then it helps to have a guy like Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback if you do have to throw the ball. But right now, we don't have, our star receiver. I feel better going into this game having guys like Adam Thielen and MVS than I would have felt going into this game with Calvin Austin and Roman Wilson, guys that don't have the experience of these big time clutch games. So while neither one of them are a DK Metcalf, you can get production out of Thielen and MVS and those tight ends without him while trying to maintain a balanced run game. So it's
Well,
going
and
to
the
be
other thing,
huge. And yeah,
and the other thing that hurts Cleveland this week is the fact that Judkins is not going to play. Obviously, he's done for the year. So, what's Cleveland going to do? Their defense is stout. They're going to come to play. But, with Cleveland's offense, it's just a mess. Judkins doesn't get hurt. I think maybe Cleveland has a shot this week, but, Pittsburgh right now clicking on all cylinders the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. And for the last several years, but it seems like it gets louder and louder. You talk about, there's that group out there that will say it's rigged, it's scripted, blah, blah, blah. If you're in that camp, there is no way that you believe for even a second that Pittsburgh is going to win this game. Because, that they'll never admit it, but the NFL themselves, Roger and the boys up in their boardroom are sitting there, whether by hook or crook, they do not want Pittsburgh to win this game at all. Whether or not they've placed a call to the officials or whatever, that I'm not going to speculate on. I personally like to lean that it isn't rigged. But if somehow Mike Tomlin has a Mike Tomlin game and we blow this thing, it's going to get a little bit louder as far as people talking about the NFL being rigged. Looking at back of the season, Baltimore absolutely sucks for the first 5-6 weeks while we jump out to a big lead. And again, this is conspiracy D's. So we're up like 4 games. All of a sudden, we struggle, stumble, start dropping games, and here comes Baltimore. And now we're 1 for 1, back and forth, setting up this final epic showdown next week. So
plus,
yeah,
Lamar Jackson comes back.
yeah. Lamar's hurt this week. They still get the win because suddenly John Harbaugh remembers that he's got Derek fucking Henry on his team, who for this week anyway, I would like to thank John Harbaugh and Derek Henry because I did have him in my fantasy team that is competing for a championship. So that got me a nice healthy lead. Even though I had Jared Goff as my quarterback, who had 5 turnovers, and I wasn't feeling too good until last night. Derrick Henry decided to do me a big solid. But yeah, it's tough to make the argument that it's not fixed, especially if Pittsburgh goes in there and drops this game. So let's hope we don't have to have this discussion next week.
Yeah.
But back to your point, Cleveland, their whole offense revolves, especially since Shador has taken over, but I believe it goes season long. But their entire offense has basically revolved around the tight ends and Judkins.
Mm-hmm.
I think I saw somebody on one of the NFL shows or podcasts or whatever. Over 60% of their offense has been the 2 tight ends, Fant and Njoku, and then Quinshon Judkins.
Yep.
And they're all out.
Yep.
Both Njoku, Fant are gone. Obviously, Judkins with the broken leg last week. So 60% of their offense is out. Shador has he's looked okay for a rookie, but I don't see like the second coming that a lot of people think he might be yet. I'm not going to say that he's not going to be a solid NFL quarterback because it looks like he could be if they get him some help. But going into that game today, he shouldn't scare you, especially with the weapons that he's got around him.
Yeah, not by any means. And their receivers don't scare anybody. But again, the way the NFL has gone this year, Deez. No, I'm not saying Cleveland's going to win the game, but I have a gut feeling that they're going to make it uncomfortable for Pittsburgh. Weather's not going to be an issue. It's
Oh
going to be
no,
47.
no doubt.
Yeah, 47 degrees at kickoff. So, and look, I get it. Cleveland's defense is fantastic, but Pittsburgh should do exactly what they did last week, and that's pound the rock, take the pressure off of Aaron, mix in the play action, use your tight ends. And look, Browns defense is going to be game for a while, but Pittsburgh's the better team by far. I just, unless the Steelers play down to the competition, I'm just not seeing it.
Yeah, you haven't watched very many Pittsburgh games, have you?
No, I have.
Yeah, that is literally Mike Tomlin's fucking forte is let's just play to their level and see what happens. It just drives me nuts. But yeah, I will be absolutely shocked if this game is not anything other than a one-score game.
Yeah.
It's just nothing in the world right now could convince me. Cleveland could literally bring in their practice squad, and I still think that the Steelers will somehow make this a one-score game by performing down to their level. It's just like it's too perfect.
Well, your boy Chipper said yesterday that if Pittsburgh loses today, Baltimore's going to win next week.
I'm right there with him. I am 100% right there with him. I believe the same thing. In fact, spoiler alert, that's kind of where I'm leaning right now. I just, and not because I'm into the whole conspiracy aspect of it, but I've been a fan far too long to think that things are going to break our way. Yeah, I haven't picked us to win in 4 weeks, and we're doing all right, but it's and I'm probably not picking us to win today either. But on paper, yeah, they should not have a chance. That being Cleveland, they should not have a chance in this game, but it's a divisional game, so throw all that shit out the window. You can talk about all the guys that Cleveland's missing, but we're not in much better shape. Obviously we got DK gone with the suspension. We are still starting our fourth, at least the guy at the beginning of the season, our fourth string left tackle, who has been fantastic. Dylan Cook has been absolutely fantastic. He didn't allow the sacks against Aiden Hutchinson, but he's been great in pass coverage. Last week wasn't quite the perfect game that he had the week before, but Detroit had a better pass rush. But this week is huge. Like you're going up against the man, Myles Garrett, who is coming into this game just needing one sack to break TJ Watt's single season sack record. So it could get ugly. And there's been talk that, they're under strict rule or strict guidelines to not allow that to happen. And somebody even said that it's being whispered or / reported, whatever, that the coaching Tomlin, whatever, is telling the offensive line, he doesn't care if you hold, if you're beat, tackle him. In other words, Myles Garrett, because they don't want. I find that a little hard to believe, but I personally think Garrett's going to get him today. And do I want it to happen? No. But if it doesn't happen this week, it's probably going to happen next week anyway. It's going to be broken. TJ held it 22.5. That's still nothing to, shake your head about. Records are meant to be broken. It's going to happen. It's whatever. And this whole argument that we've had with Browns fans for the last 7, 8 years of who's better, who's better. Look, my personal opinion, this year, without question, Myles Garrett is better. And I think that Myles Garrett is probably a better pure pass rusher than TJ. But if you're going to give me my choice of one of the two guys in their absolute prime, I'm taking TJ 100 times out of 100 because TJ is a more well-rounded player, whereas Myles Garrett is just a pass rush force. You know what I mean? Like, not taking anything away from Myles Garrett because he is fantastic. But if I want an every down kind of performance, I'm going TJ Watt 100 times out of 100.
Myles Garrett reminds me of a young Khalil Mack. Khalil Mack, great pass rusher, not so great against the run. But look, that's all he does. That's all Myles Garrett does. And that's what he gets paid to do, is sack the quarterback. So, and put pressure on the quarterback. So, yes, I think TJ Watt is more well-rounded. He can defend the pass. He can rush the passer. But yeah, I think he is now. Myles Garrett rarely gets hurt. TJ seems to be a little bit prone to getting hurt in unusual ways. So
yeah,
the best ability is availability. So in that aspect, I think Myles Garrett is a little bit better with his availability.
for sure, for sure. And I will say that I was mildly impressed by Jack Sawyer's contributions last week against Detroit. I think he has gotten better as the season has progressed. To the point where I'm kind of excited to see how he develops over the course of the next couple of years. And Pittsburgh's going to have some decisions to make because you've also got Nick Herbig, and then you got Alex Highsmith, who was fantastic against Detroit.
Yep.
He had a few big tackles for loss. It's a good problem to have, the kind of depth at edge like that. Only problem is you're not going to be able to afford to keep all of those guys. So some big decisions are looming over the course of the next 2 or 3 years, which we will get to that eventually. I kind of asked you about this off air. We'll talk about it in front of Steeler fans because it's gonna be. I've already seen it on the Twitters and the Facebook pages and everything, the speculations, and Malik Willis. I will, and I don't know if you could dig up the archives of this show's past, but I will. Back in whatever year it was, 22, when we drafted Kenny Pickett, I was pounding my fucking fist saying that I wanted Tyler Linderbaum in the first round, which is the center for the Ravens right now. And granted, we got a great center, nothing against Zach Frazier, but at that time, I wanted that as my number one pick, and I wanted Malik Willis in the third round, not Kenny fucking Pickett in the first. He got a couple of opportunities in Tennessee, didn't really look all that good, but again, it was Tennessee. It's kind of what you expect. But last night, Malik Willis looked like he's ready to be an NFL quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, he played well, 18 to 28, or 18 to 21, 288, a touchdown, no picks. He ran the ball 9 times for 60 yards, 2 touchdowns rushing because Jacobs and Wilson, they were basically bottling them up. Think about the teams that may need a quarterback in the offseason, Miami. I think Tua is going to be gone. Jets.
Pittsburgh.
You can go down a list of teams that may need a quarterback, and let's see what happens with Jordan Love if he's going to play next week. The Packers are still firmly in. I think did they clinch?
They're in the playoffs, but the division race is over.
Yeah,
I don't think the Packers can advance their seeding at all.
So why not? Don't bring Jordan Love back for the last game. Put Malik out there for the final game. Let Jordan rest up and heal up with whatever injuries he's dealing with. So Yeah, I mean Malik Willis. These yesterday, probably next week, is sort of an interview, if you will, for the rest of the teams who are maybe looking
Oh,
for a
definitely.
quarterback this offseason. Yeah.
And they've already come out. LaFleur has said he's unsure of who his quarterback's going to be. And obviously, if you're Malik Willis, you want to play
Yeah.
because again, you're putting that work out there. But and I hate to spend too much time on the Packers, but let's just pretend for a second that they go ahead and give Malik Willis the start, and he comes out and he absolutely lights it up next week. How do you turn back to Jordan Love in the wild card round for one? And if you do, and he comes in ice cold because he's going into that game having now not played in 3 weeks, how
Mm-hmm.
quickly do you turn to Malik Willis? Like uh, that's going to be sticky, and all it's going to do is it's going to make Malik Willis a very rich man somewhere. Somebody is going to overpay for him, and maybe it won't be an overpay. Maybe he's going to turn into, the next big thing, or maybe he's going to turn into the next Matt Flynn. If you recall, same scenario, Green Bay. He came in,
Yeah.
and I think he threw for like 500 yards or not 500, like 5 touchdowns or whatever. Got the big contract, went to Seattle, never started a game because
Yeah.
Russell Wilson happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as
If he goes to Minnesota next week and he lights it up, if he's a starter, how do you not start him in the wild card game? Especially, I mean, Jordan's been
yeah,
struggling. He's dealing with the injuries, whatnot. It's dicey. It's a dicey situation in Green Bay right now.
yeah, and Jordan, I think Jordan Love's a good quarterback, and he's got some mobility, but he's not dynamic the way Malik Willis is. That
Mm-hmm.
there were a couple plays that Malik made with his feet last night that not too many quarterbacks in the NFL today can make.
Yeah.
A healthy Lamar maybe or healthy Josh Allen, but yeah, it's gonna get weird in Green Bay if Malik plays next week and lights it up for sure. And along those same lines, as far as resting and not resting, personally, I'm glad that we have to play today. And when I say we have to play today, I mean we have to play to win today
Mm-hmm.
because I would not feel comfortable. I've been an NFL fan, a Steeler fan for far too long. I would not feel comfortable to have 2 weeks off, essentially. I would not want to rest my vets for 2 weeks and then to tell them just go out in the playoffs and just turn it back on. It just doesn't work that way. We've both been around a long time. That isn't what happens. More often than not, teams that come in cold, I don't care how good they were in the season, fall on their ass. Sometimes it works out because the other team they're playing, doesn't do well, but you want to go in hot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if Pittsburgh wins today, the division race is obviously over. Next week I'm
Yeah.
resting my starter. Next week I'm resting my starters. Um,
Yeah. 1 week. Sure.
yeah. Yeah. But I think, look, I'm just going to say it now. I think Pittsburgh's going to win this game. Um, they know what's at stake. I know it's the Browns. I know it's a division rival. But not only is it a division rival and you can beat one of your division rivals, but you can knock one of your arch nemesis out of the playoffs as well. And that's the Baltimore Ravens, which makes next week's game, I'm not going to say insignificant because both teams absolutely hate each other, but the game will be 90% insignificant next week.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, conspiracy D's is over here in the corner going, there's fucking no way that game's going to be meaningless. Um, as much as I would like to see it, I don't know. I don't know. Damn it. I had a point to make. Now I don't remember what the hell it was.
And look, if Pittsburgh doesn't run the football today, then I can see Cleveland winning. But you got a two-headed monster in the backfield. You might as well just empty the tank today. Empty the tank. Everything is on the line. A division title. You don't want to lose this game and go into next week, and Baltimore's playing with house money.
Yeah, it's the run game needs to be there, but you're also going to see the very quick passing game because again, they want to minimize Myles Garrett, and the way that you do that is to get the ball out of Aaron's hands as quickly as possible. So you're going to see a lot of Kenny Gainwell. You're going to see a lot of bubble screens, quick hitters. You probably won't see too many 5 or 7 step drops. Aaron is going to, the game plan is going to be strike fast and let the guys make their plays. Now, the good news behind that is we've got some guys that are good, not necessarily at game breakers, being Thielen and Freiermuth and, quick hitting kind of zone breaking dudes. MVS is still a deep threat. He's not the deep threat that, DK Metcalf is, but you're going to see a lot of those quick passes. Roman Wilson's probably going to be active this week after not seeing the field for a while. Maybe he can kind of take this opportunity to redeem himself and show that he's still a viable candidate for a receiving option on this team. Right now, I think he's kind of in the doghouse. So he's going to have to step it up today and see what happens. Defensively, again, the same guys, we're without Watt. Everybody else, as far as I know, is good to go. Joey Porter has been fantastic, and I'm a little pissed off that he got snubbed for the Pro Bowl because he ranks top 5 in like almost every coverage metric that's out there. And the fact that he got snubbed, I'm not even saying that he should have been the starter, but for Joey to not make it is unreal. Jalen Ramsey was down early this week with an illness. He is no longer an injury designation, so I'm assuming he's going to be good to go. Everybody else other than TJ should be out there and should do well. Hopefully we can make Shedeur make a few mistakes and kind of see what happens. So, but yeah, I agree with you. Keep it on the ground, keep it short, eat up clock, don't turn the ball over, and minimize their momentum is the only way Pittsburgh's coming out of this with a win.
The only thing that would concern me, Deez, Aaron Rodgers may be getting hurt. That's the only thing that would concern me.
Now, why would you put that in the fucking universe?
That's the only thing. That's the only thing with Myles Garrett looking for the sack record. That's the only thing that would concern me. Look, my Chiefs suck. They had a lot riding on that game, keeping their playoff hopes alive, and all of a sudden, my worst nightmare came true. I thought that they should have shut them down the rest of the year, shut the starters down, because they weren't going to make the playoffs. And if they made the playoffs, they weren't going to go far. So, again, I'm running the ball.
Yeah, they definitely need to do that. Were they eliminated when Pat got hurt?
That particular game that they played, if they had won that game,
was the one
they would have kept their playoff hopes alive.
Okay. So I mean, they still had something to play for. At least they didn't lose him, in a completely meaningless scenario.
And it'll be interesting the last couple of weeks after what happens today. Who's going to do what next week? Are the Bears still in the running for a number 1 in the NFC? The Broncos right now have the number 1 in the AFC, but I think there's a scenario if they lose and New England wins their last 2, then New England's the 1 seed. So, like you said earlier, there's still a lot of seeding up for grabs.
I believe Jacksonville even still has a shot at the 1 seed.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's and I think if I'm not mistaken, the NFC is no, the NFC is not a 3-way race. Philly is pretty much locked into. Oh, we lost Ryan. Well, I think I still hear you. I think your camera's just.
Yeah, can you hear me?
I hear you.
And for some odd reason, let me try this.
But yeah, Seattle and the Bears are still locked up in a race for the 1 seed. It's likely that it's going to be Seattle, but you never know. And let's see if we can do that. There we go. So yeah, it's a 2-team race basically for the 1 seed in the NFC and a kind of 3-team race in the AFC. Pittsburgh, I think, could get the 3 seed, but it's not going to happen. That would require Jacksonville to lose their last 2 and us to win the last 2. And again, I don't see us winning the last 2 because if we win this one, we're probably going to be resting a lot of players next week and be done with that.
You got me?
Yes, sir.
I had no idea what you said.
I was just talking about the fact that it's a 2-team race in the NFC for the 1 seed, Seattle, Chicago, and then it's a 3-team race for the 1 seed in the AFC. And the only Pittsburgh's got a outside shot at the 3 seed, but that's probably not going to happen.
And you know what, Deez? It doesn't matter where anybody's seated because I don't think there's a clear-cut favorite to win the Super Bowl. I mean, Jacksonville went to Denver, beat Denver. Houston went to LA and beat the Chargers. We already know that Green Bay split with Chicago. If Green Bay winds up playing Chicago, LA's lost to Seattle. I mean, it is wide open this year to win the Super Bowl. I don't care who anybody's playing. Nobody has an advantage. So it's going to be real interesting to see when all is said and done, when all the seedings are set next week. It'll be, I don't trust Buffalo in the AFC because the run defense is pathetic. It's so wide open this year, more wide open than I can ever remember it.
I was just going to say, in all my years of watching football, I personally can't remember a season where you could look at the playoff field and basically make a case for all 7 teams on each side on making the Super Bowl. You really could, as much, call me Homer or whatever. Yeah, I've been down on Pittsburgh for the last several weeks, but you can make a case if Aaron stays hot and that defense continues to, first off, get healthy and then click it the way they can, they could make a run. And at the same time, they could lose in the first round like we have so many times before. But every single team, you can make a case for and against. Like you said, Buffalo, you got Josh Allen, you got James Cook, but then that defense is bad. You want to talk great defense. Houston is probably the best defense in the NFL, but their offense is not very good. They don't have much of a running game. They're turning the ball over. Same thing with Denver. Amazing defense. But I don't trust Bo Nix.
Yeah.
You can't. He's inconsistent. And playoff football, throw everything out the window because all bets are off. We're going to find out, it's just who gets hot at the right time. And like I said, all 14 teams going into the playoffs, you can make a case for and against.
And in the NFC, I don't care what anybody says, if Carolina wins the division, they're going to be a tough out for anybody. You got Dowdle, Hubbard, Teteroa, McMillan has been a surprise for them, obviously, receiver-wise. And when they're clicking on all cylinders, Carolina, now I still don't trust Bryce Young, but if they get that running game going, they got a solid defense, they're scary to play.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild. Absolutely wild. All right. Well, since we don't have the other motor mouse here, we'll probably end up cutting this a little short. Let's go ahead and jump into the picks. Just kidding, Dave and Chipper. I wish they would have jumped on either on the road or I don't know if they're at a tailgate or whatever, but one of them should grab their phone and hit the link. But anyway, let's go through the week and let's make our predictions here. We are going to kick it off noon today. We have the Arizona Cardinals taking on the Cincinnati Bengals in Cincy. Cincinnati's 7-point favorite.
Points aplenty. Both defenses are bad, but I'm still going to roll with Joe Burrow. I think the Bengals win something like 34-27, somewhere in there.
Yeah, it should be an entertaining game as far as that aspect goes. Now, gun to your head, is Joe Burrow a Cincinnati Bengal next season?
My gut feeling tells me no, but I got a friend in Florida when I lived down there. He grew up in Cincinnati, huge Cincinnati fan, knows the organization. I basically what he said is Burrow's going to be back, but Hendrickson will be gone. So,
Oh, I think that's a 1,000%er that Hendrickson's going to be gone. Yeah, I don't. Burrow's been saying some weird shit. Like I won't be at all surprised come March if we don't hear that he's demanding a trade.
yeah.
But it is Cincinnati, and I could absolutely see Cincinnati not complying. So, but yeah, I agree. I think Cincinnati is going to put up enough points here. Again, probably 30 to, I'll just say 34-23, something along those lines. Saints travel to Tennessee to take on the Titans. Saints on a roll. Tyler Shock's looking like he might actually be an NFL quarterback.
I don't know why I'm going to say this, but Tennessee's been playing decent the last 2-3 weeks. I'm going to take Tennessee at home in this one.
All right. I'm not. The Saints have kind of been on a roll. I think it'll probably be a pretty close game. The spread's only 1.5. I think that's going to be fair. I'm going to take the Saints by a field goal over the Titans. Then we've got the Jaguars taking on the Indianapolis Colts, which now is more or less meaningless for the Colts, but they can play spoiler and at least take the Jaguars out of the race for the 1 or 2 seed with an upset there. But I don't see that happening. I think that the Colts are in complete implosion mode, and I think Jacksonville's going to keep their momentum going.
Yeah, I think it might be a little bit closer than what people think, but I think in the end, Jacksonville will pull away. Jacksonville still has a lot on the line. Colts maybe play spoiler, but I don't see it happening.
Agreed. Another big game for one of the two teams. We have a matchup of two more of the Florida Powers, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, fighting for their playoff lives against the Miami Dolphins, who are basically done with Tua, and they have Ewers starting from Texas. Tampa's got to win this game to stay alive in their division.
I mean, Dolphins with Quinn Ewers as a quarterback. I'm not saying he's not going to be a decent quarterback at some point, but I saw what he looked like last week. Buccaneers still have hopes of winning the division. I've got the Buccaneers winning.
Yeah, I can't find too many scenarios where the Dolphins can win this game. But then again, the Bucs have, for starting out so hot to be where they're sitting right now is kind of wild. But if they're going to do anything, they better turn it on. But I agree. I think Tampa's going to at least do enough to get this win.
Mm-hmm.
Then we got the New England Patriots taking on the Jets. I believe if the Patriots win, they clinch the 1 seed. I believe that's.
Well, they're 12-3. The Broncos are 13-2 right now. So.
Oh, you're right. Patriots do have to win 2 more, and Denver's probably got to lose 1 more.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's the Jets. I don't see a scenario where they're going to drop this game.
New England favored by 13.5. The Jets, for the most part, packed the land. Look, the Jets would like to play spoiler, and the Patriots now they got a multitude of guys that are injured and they're out for the game. But Travion Henderson's going to play, so him at running back with the way he's played the last month and a half, a 13.5 is a lot, but I think the Patriots will win this comfortably.
I agree. Then we got the Seattle Seahawks taking on the Carolina Panthers. Again, for those of you that think the NFL is potentially scripted, the Panthers can clinch their division, I believe, with a win, right?
Yep. Yep. Ladies and gentlemen, I am not a conspiracy theorist, but with all that being said, I don't know how and why, but I just think the Panthers beat the Seahawks today and they clinched the division. I'm going to go Panthers at home to beat the Seahawks.
Wow. Now, to your point, to be fair, Sam Darnold hasn't looked great these last couple of weeks, and we all know what happened last year at the end of the season with Sam Darnold. He completely fell apart. So your pick isn't like completely off the wall. Personally, though, I think Seattle trying to get that 1 seed is going to do just enough, and thus set up the winner take all game against Tampa for Carolina next week. So yeah, I'm going to go with Seattle getting the win there. And then we have Tank Bowl. The New York Giants take on the Las Vegas Raiders, with the loser pretty much locking up the number 1 pick overall. This could potentially be the worst football game you'll ever get the opportunity to watch.
I'm going to play conspiracy theorist on this one. 10-10 tie.
That would be hilarious. I'm not going to pick a winner. I'm going to pick a loser, and the loser is anybody who watches this game. Because I mean, okay, let's say you're the coach or GM or even owner of one of these two teams. You can't come out and say it, but there's no way in hell you want to win this game. Yeah. The players, look, you'll never convince me that a collective of players will tank, because that's how they make their money. Like, they got to play somewhere else eventually. But the coaches and everything else can do everything in their power to not win the game, i.e., I don't know, shut down one of your best defensive players like Max Crosby.
And piss him off.
Oh, he needs knee surgery. Yeah. And he leaves the facility, and Pete Carroll's like, oh, yeah, we knew this was happening. No, you didn't. You pissed him off. You told him that you're trying to tank. And so he's like, fuck it, I'm going home. And Granted, that'll probably never come out until maybe down the road, few years on a podcast, we'll hear the truth. But that's exactly what's going on. Nobody wants to win this game. This will probably be, like you said, a 10-10 tie or a fucking 7-3, just absolute shit fest.
Yeah.
I guess give me the Giants. Yeah, that's all I got. Then we got to move on to the Eagles and Bills in Buffalo. Both teams do have a little bit to play for. No, actually, the Bills don't. I don't. Yeah, they're not. Bills aren't eliminated from the division. They need a lot of help, but they could still potentially win it, I believe. Eagles can't really do anything other than improve their seeding, maybe. I don't believe necessarily in either one of those teams as far as consistently on both sides of the ball. I'm going to go with the Bills at home.
You go the other way, even though I just fucking hate the Eagles. I just don't trust Buffalo's run defense. I really don't. Barkley ran the ball well last week. It was what Philadelphia should do. The Bills are going to have to outscore the Eagles. But again, with that Bills horrible run defense, going to be close, but I'm going to take the Eagles on the road.
All right. And then tonight, Sunday Night Football, the Bears travel to Santa Clara to take on the 49ers. Niners 3.5-point favorites. Ryan, who you got?
Look, I'm still not a believer in Caleb Williams. He plays too much backyard football. 49ers at home. They're doing it with all these injuries. It's going to be close, but I think the 49ers eke it out at home.
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning that way too. Even though the Bears are fighting for a potential one seed, San Francisco, despite the numerous injuries that they have, their offense is still clicking on all cylinders.
Mm-hmm.
Bears defense is kind of iffy. So I'm going with you on that. I think the 49ers probably win this. I think it'll be a one-score game, but I think the Niners find a way to squeak it out. And then Monday Night Football, we have the Rams traveling to Atlanta, taking on the Falcons. Rams still in contention for the NFC West.
Yep.
That may not necessarily be the case, though, after that Seattle game.
Rams just better watch out. I know the Falcons are out of it. Falcons playing for pride. Rams have a propensity for playing down to the competition this year. I think it'll be closer than the experts think, but I think the Rams will win a close one.
I'm going to go with you on that as well. Rams are still one of those teams that, like we talked about, how wide open it is, but the Rams are at the front of that list of potential teams that could win it.
Yep.
In the playoffs, high pressure situation, I would probably take the Rams over Seattle just because Matt Stafford over Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
And that would be the way that I would go. So, yeah, I think the Rams there. And finally, the reason that we are here this morning, we have our, not his, because Chiefs fan, but we have the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the Cleveland Browns. Division is on the line. We can clinch and not even have to worry about Baltimore next week. What do you got?
I just think Pittsburgh found something last week. I get it. Cleveland's defense is great. They'll keep it close, but with all that's on the line, I know Pittsburgh Steelers fans are nervous this week, but I don't see it. I'm taking the Steelers all day.
What do you got for a score?
It's going to be something like Steelers 24, Browns 14, somewhere in there.
All right. Well, I've been a fan of this team my entire life, and I have watched Mike Tomlin coached Steeler teams for far, far too long to not know what is going to fucking happen today. This, as a Steeler fan, we don't have what you would call a trap game. All right. You know what a trap game is. It's that game that on paper looks like you should win, but you don't. As a Steeler fan, we don't call those trap games. We call them Tomlin games because this has got Tomlin game written all the fuck over it. The 60% of the Browns' offensive production is not even playing today. Judkins is out. Fant is out. Njoku is out. That's 60% of their production. They're not playing today. It's not going to matter. Myles Garrett's going for the sack. I hate to be that guy, but again, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me 7, 8, 9, 10 times, shame on Mike fucking Tomlin, because this is what he does. And if you think for a second after Green Bay blew it last night, if you think for a second that we're not going to have to play Baltimore for the division next week, then you haven't been paying attention. It's just, look, I would like nothing more than for Pittsburgh to just kick their fucking teeth in today, and then I can relax. But it's not going to happen. I've been around too goddamn long to know better. Cleveland will somehow, some way find themselves in this game late, and we will somehow, some way piss it all away. I'm taking the Cleveland Browns 20-16 over the Steelers. And it's for everything next week against the Ravens. I hope I'm wrong, but again, I have loved and lost before, and this just feels like one of those scenarios. Sorry about it.
I don't see it. I just don't see it.
I hope you're right, sir. All right. Well, we managed to stretch that into an hour, so good job of us.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
We're going to go ahead and call it there. Dave, Chipper, if you guys get bored and watch this, have fun at the game. Good luck. Don't get mobbed by the dog pound there. Hopefully they let you out of there alive, and hopefully you bring us home a win. But again, I'm less than optimistic about today's action. Ryan, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Steeler fans, no matter what happens today, we will be back here next week to talk Steelers Ravens. Hopefully we're in a good mood about it, but we'll see. Thanks, guys. We'll see you guys next week.
Have a good one.